for everyone, since there are resources pulled from a variety of different organizations across our state and then across the country as well. It is a book, but it's thorough.
It's good.
It touches all the research and studies that are peer-reviewed and scientific. It includes all the press releases related to the issue, and it also includes data related to our lake and then the property issues. Can you just pass that back? Yep.
Give her an extra. Oh, okay.
So, how many want to be in person again, the committee?
If possible, yep.
Okay. And then obviously anybody else here will Zoom it. Can we do it again next Saturday, Luke?
I'm unavailable next Saturday.
I'm available next Saturday.
But the following Saturday I could, the
Okay,
12th.
what about the following Saturday?
12th?
12th, probably.
Okay, would be okay? That would be the 12th? Can you see if we can set that up, Luke, then? The 12th? Here?
Sure.
Is that going to be in the morning?
9 o'clock in the morning, yes.
Oh, I'm traveling that day, but I can be sitting at the airport, pull it up on my phone.
Okay, and then we'll be able to get a hold of,
That's Arthur.
what's her name, to Zoom this, set up it for a Zoom?
Well, I gotta check with her. I mean, I know she's doing. She's not this week.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
But she's generally not at the meetings, or she's there with us.
I gotta see if this room's available
Right.
on that day, and then I gotta see if Stacy's
We're looking
available.
at.
So it's gonna be a little bit tentatively.
Okay. So tentatively on the 12th at 9 to 10.
Subscription?
Yeah, I think the lake has a subscription, right? A Zoom subscription?
Yeah, but I don't have any equipment, so I have to get with Stacy.
Again, I haven't seen a
Get all that
publication.
stuff.
It says
We just
that
don't want to
you
be
can
cut
buy
off
these
after
things in
45
4-foot
minutes.
water.
Oh, no, our meetings have gone longer than that, so.
If you took one now, you wouldn't see this.
And if we don't have Wi-Fi now, we're probably not gonna have it then, so I don't know how we're gonna.
These folks should not be.
If you have documentation, it'd be a
Yeah,
lot
I
better
could
to do
have
it
done
in
a
person
hotspot
on Zoom anyway,
if I had
because then
to.
you
I
can
didn't really have to pull the
discuss
up,
it.
so.
Otherwise, it's too hard.
Right.
Just said I was too far from the router. I don't know where the router
I got
is.
a video of a slalom skier and he made a trail like that, but
Okay.
he's probably within 60 feet of the pier.
You should be at least 100 feet from
I don't know,
That's not my pole, right?
no, not that day. I got you right after that.
Any other comments anybody want to bring up?
One,
We got one here.
oh, we got one back there.
Arthur Watson with Wisconsin DNR. We have the 2-year study we're in the first year of. In 2022, there was also, the lake was randomly selected for National Lakes Assessment, so it did get some water quality data. These are snapshots in time due to the state lab's availability to accept samples. We generally are out sampling in the middle of the week, not on a Sunday. It's entirely possible that it could be decreased Secchi discs on the weekends. I think that's totally reasonable to assume based on what I've seen as an avid angler and an avid user of all lakes around the state. The Secchi disc also, I'll have to talk to Paul, but we shouldn't be going into the spring because then you're measuring groundwater, which will have increased clarity. Yep, so it should be in a main lake away from the spring. There's what's called swim stations, which are established by the department where those samples should be taken. So it might skew some of the data based on when samples are taken. The total phosphorus over the last 2 years has been between 0.15 milligrams and 0.3 milligrams per liter, which are meeting state standards. It's a very small sample size, and that study is meant to classify impairment due to EPA standards as impaired or not impaired, and can is used, if it's impaired, which is not currently, it's meant to open up more avenues to, take it delisted from that impairment list. And so I guess that was just what I wanted to say. Those are snapshots in time. It could be different on the weekends, or we don't go sampling on weekends. So maybe we can correlate with Paul. We'll have to maybe set up a meeting to get on the same page, but maybe taking those samples on a Saturday or Sunday to start collecting data if there is a difference. And this is only a 2-year study based on the EPA standards, so it will end in 2024. It included point intercept survey for aquatic plants. It includes an aquatic invasive species early detection survey, a shoreline inventory survey, which basically grades how healthy the shorelines are, how many impervious surfaces, and the things along those lines. You get a score, essentially. And then 3 water quality samplings from July 15th to September 15th, once a year. So it'll be 6 total samplings.
Do you know anything about the DNR coming up with its own ordinance, statewide ordinance?
So the DNR doesn't come up with the ordinances. It would have to be a legislative effort, kind of similar to what's been said. So the DNR doesn't establish ordinances. We may provide comment based on current available science, the Natural Resources Board, and things along those lines. And the lead contact for DNR is Karen Kuhn, Recreational Safety Board of the state. And at this time, there's some science out there, right? St. Anthony Falls has been mentioned, the North Lake study's been mentioned, but it is really limited. It's definitely a hot topic amongst many different lake groups. I've probably fielded over 100 calls just this year on it, various lakes. And yes, there's 15,000 lakes in the state, but for many of those lakes are under 50 acres, so that eliminates the vast majority of those lakes because of state statute on limitations on going beyond wake speed on those lakes. So it's a hot topic, and unfortunately or fortunately for me, because I don't get a knife in my back or whatever, but the DNR does not take a stance on local ordinances. So I just want to make that very clear. I'm here to field questions, but I may not have an answer for you. So just wanted to talk about the water quality study that's coming on. So, and I may not be able to, I'll be unavailable the next 2 weekends. So.
There's some property that neighbors Blue Spring Lake that didn't used to be farmland. It got bought and then fenced, and then now it's like a cornfield. You know, and I believe that water, like when we get all the rain, doesn't it run into the lake? You know, that's probably our biggest source of like phosphorus load right now. But then obviously the farmer, and there's nothing you can really make the farmer do. So I'm a farmer, you know, if you want to put fertilizer in that field, you can. But as a group, is there anything we can do to approach that person to, I mean, it's not a high quality field, but you know, there's no way he's making any money on it. Like this year, he's losing money farming.
That's the northeast corner you're talking about, the inlet?
Yeah,
there?
on the way into the lake there, you know, all that, we get these big rains, and he put, you know, probably at least 200 some pounds of urea out there, or anhydrous, or whatever he's using.
I wasn't sure if you were the one that was meeting us there that one time. They were talking about digging out that pond on the north side of the water to catch a lot of this stuff before it
slow it down.
So all these things are not mutually exclusive, right? And I think that's important to realize that there's internal phosphorus that's already in the lake. Anything, you know, phosphorus is a very sticky molecule. It sticks to sediment, sticks to the bottom of the lake. It comes in through fertilizers and lawns. That's why it's important. Needed buffers, work with producers, like the farmer, like you said, potential, you know, maybe they won't listen, but having cover crops, buffer strips, grass waterways, there's things that can be done. It's like anything. You're not going to get 100% buy-in all the time. You're going to have people on both ends of the spectrum. But you can spread that good information. And buffer strips is kind of something that riparian owners can do. I mean, there's $1,000 per practice for healthy lakes grants that riparians can do. And I found in certain lakes that are highly successful in working with producers, they generally pick some money to make it financially viable for producers to plant cover crops, to get that infiltration into the water, to try and offset maybe some losses, based on, you know, having a buffer strip. There's certain things that can be done, but lakes that are successful usually have buy-in from riparians where they're planting native plants along the shoreline and reducing nutrient inputs from themselves, so they can say, hey, look, this is what we're doing, and, you know, what can we work with you? And you're not gonna get 100% buy-in. It's pretty obvious throughout the state, right? So.
Yeah, this past weekend, there was like almost a 4-inch rain event, and there's like a rivers, you know, coming into the lake, just in between the houses of water, and I don't know, what all went into the lake. The lake went up about 3 inches, you know.
Yeah, large precipitation events are a major driver, right? We got 30 inches of rain from late May to early July. That's a large input. Once phosphorus is in the lake, there's inputs and exports, right? So, and then there's internal cycling of phosphorus in the lake. I mean, it's not a static system, and it's, yes, that's an issue. It's an issue.
So we gotta stir it up a real lot, and then we get it to go over the dam, right? Someone else's problem.
I'm not sure if you know this, but that field that you're talking about where they're fertilizing, that drains to the road through a culvert, which was replaced recently because nobody knew there was already a culvert there that was plugged up. So now when they redid the road, they found the old culvert. Now they both drain into the village property. Then it gets filtered through that crap, grass, whatever, and then it goes around to come through Blue Spring Lake. So some of that is being naturally filtered by the weeds and all the other crap going on. Is it enough? Probably not. But it's why when you cut the weeds on the lake, you find that there's a huge amount of weeds growing in that area because it's being fertilized hourly. Okay, it's just, some people don't know that. I probably shouldn't know it either, but I was on the board for a number of years and this all came up.
Yeah, it came out underneath the road right into my old driveway.
Yes, that's right.
It goes out Jim and Judy Biancalana's property through a little culvert. Half of it goes into the lake, some of it just goes into the 2 yards.
The little bit of phosphorus that comes from people's lawns is minute by comparison.
One more thing.
I just want, you know, it was suggested that there be a committee, like a longer-term committee for the health and safety of the lake. And I think that was a great suggestion. And I would, as liaison to the board, maybe, you know, make that as a suggestion for a standing committee or an ad hoc committee.
Any other last-minute things?
I want to say also Jefferson County has Colton Hutchinson, staff member dedicated to implementing and making it very easy for riparians to get these healthy lakes grants, provide buffers. I don't think that, you know, shoreline owners are insignificant input depending on the use of that landscape. I think there's been studies, I can't quote them exactly, but, you know, if you've got true green coming out every 2 weeks, it's going to have a large impact. If it's in an area that was traditionally wetland, that's been drained and tiled and goes directly into the lake, that's going to have a significant input of dissolved reactive phosphorus, which relates to algae growth. So that's why I made the point that this is not all mutually exclusive, right? These are all things that compound on each other and create issues. So I think that's important to realize.
Okay. Then we'll
Adjourn.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
A few of us have been in contact with the Last Wilderness Alliance. They're one of the organizations in the state that is providing local communities education around this the whole thing that we're discussing today. And they've been helping communities draft and work through ordinances, putting together conditional reports, et cetera, et cetera. They've actually reached out and offered to do, if we would be open to it, an informational session for the residents here on Blue Spring Lake on a Saturday morning in the month of October to discuss a lot of the issues that we're talking about, kind of going back to something you mentioned, like people want to know, what does this mean? What is this? The definitions of X, Y, and Z, to kind of talk through it and then talk through the issues that they've just seen across the state and how best to address it. So I just wanted to put that out there to see if that would be something that we could invite them to on a Saturday morning if people were interested in something like that.
If
For-
you're at the annual meeting, people were looking for information, so.
I would say at this point in time, let's have another meeting ourselves first, and then we can discuss if we want to bring any more information into it. If Lou can go and get the corrections that you were looking at this and get it out to everybody on the board, then we'll shoot for the 12th. We'll make sure that we can have Zoom at that time for the people that can't be here. We'll just keep plugging away.
Motion to
Okay,
adjourn?
this would be targeted to the
There's a motion
community,
and a
not
second.
the.
Right, that'll be, we'll have to bring that up to the board, not our committee,
Oh, I didn't understand that, I'm sorry.
right? Are you talking about the boats, or are you talking about the phosphorus type stuff?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Okay, these people that are talking to the committee, they're
Yeah.
talking about the boats and the.
It would just
the
be an
lake?
informational session just to talk about the issues around artificial wake enhancement, how it's been
And the
impacting.
audiences.
The audience would be,
Let's put that on the
Residents.
agenda for the next meeting to discuss that.
Sounds good. Okay. Motion, second, all in favor?
I got a flight.
Anybody opposed?
Where are you going?
Orlando.
Thank you, everyone.
Catch a flight out of Midway, so.
Well, hopefully you have